My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of The Age on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment and information, too, I might say. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, Abundant Television, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Really proud, Rob. Thank you so much for letting us be part of that. And then also the podcast. Make sure you check that out, netnewsnetwork.net. Think of all those nets in there, but we are so proud to be part of that as well. Lots of fantastic talk shows. I'm just thrilled to be in the middle of all these talk show hosts because they really care about you. They really do. They care about information that's being out there as well. So they're just remarkable folks. I have with me a very special friend. His name is Alan Mendenhall. And so we had a show with him a couple weeks ago, and we're diving back in again. And so I wanted to talk with you. There was a recent announcement with our president of the United States we have right now. It felt almost like a commercial on television. It didn't really feel like, you know, how back in the day someone would announce they're going to be running for president. There would be lots of people around them, big crowds, all this, you know, flags waving. And this is just for an announcement, like you see at a Trump rally. Okay. When he made his announcement, it was at his home, in the ballroom of his home, and people were all over the place cheering him on, blah, blah, blah. It was weird.
Well, and most announcements were live, and this one was very scripted, very recorded. It was more of a movie preview, you know, with the
Yeah.
music and the script and
The premiere.
and part of that's because they can't put Joe Biden on a live recording because he wouldn't. You just wouldn't know. He couldn't follow a script. Even if he did follow a script, he wouldn't come across very well. He's getting senile and decrepit, and so he's not inspirational. So you have to make a little Hollywood version of him to make him even seem appealing. And I've seen the polls, the recent polls showing how he fares against Trump and how he fares against DeSantis, and it looks as though the polls are kind of split on the Trump Biden, and DeSantis does slightly better against Biden, but there's still a number of polls showing DeSantis or Trump beating Biden. Now there are polls that show the other way around, but it's going to be shockingly a close election, way closer than you would expect because people.
I can imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, people are not really voting for a candidate. I say that, but if you look at those same polls and look at how Trump or DeSantis do against Kamala Harris, they trounce her. I mean, she must be the most unpopular politician alive today. People just despise her. Like even the Democrats are like, I'm sorry, I cannot vote for that person. So I'm kind of I'm kind of wondering if Biden will try to push her aside and get somebody else. I don't think that will happen at this point. I think there's too much risk in removing, a female person of color from your ticket if you're a white male. So I suspect that they'll maintain that ticket. But I can't imagine Biden going into a debate with Trump. I suspect that he will decline that opportunity if given to him. I just can't imagine that he would want to do that debate.
I can't imagine him going on a debate with anybody, not even his own kind.
No.
I mean, they would make, remember what Kamala did with their debate? You remember she said, I was that little girl. She was calling him a racist. And she said, I was that little, hey, Joe, I was that little girl on the bus. She just continually said that throughout the debate. And then she winds up being VP.
Well, that was the moment that made me think that she couldn't have been his vice presidential candidate. I thought, well, he'll never pick her. And I was really wrong about that. But, turns out that she was probably a mistake long term because she didn't have the play. She's just not savvy. I don't know if you saw her in March Madness when she came and gave a speech to the Howard basketball players after they lost, and they got demolished. They got destroyed in that game. And she came in there and tried to give this inspirational speech, and it looked so silly.
When you lose, it's too late to give it.
It's too late to give the speech, and it was just comically done. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit, except for it was real. I mean, it just showed how aloof and out of touch and
Oh, God.
disappointing she is as a leader.
So why are the pickings so slim on that side? I mean, I would think, okay, so we're business people, you and I. We're, let's make a living at what we do. Let's be successful. Let's be ambitious. They don't seem to be as we are. They don't make decisions we would make. Like I would be saying, okay, she's all right, but let's scrap her. I need to get somebody else because she's not very favorable. So why
Yeah,
would they continue on this route?
well, I think the Democrats are still largely controlled by an older generation of politicians, and the younger generation of politicians consists of people like AOC who are just not viable as national candidates. And so there's a little bit of a difficulty there. And I think that that's why people are looking at like Andrew Young or Mayor Pete or people like that um, who can possibly appeal to centrist voters. Now, I don't even know what that phrase means anymore. I know that there are an increasing number of independents that don't affiliate with Republicans and don't affiliate with Democrats. But it sure seems like, despite that fact, we are becoming more fractured and divided as a society, and the parties seem to be moving more towards more away from each other. I'll put it that way. There's very little room for common ground. I saw a picture of Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan recently, and they were kind of smiling and slapping each other on the back. And I thought, you there's nothing like that now. You wouldn't see that. That you it's just not the climate we're in.
Even on a local level, both my grandparents, one was a Republican and one was a Democrat. And I remember seeing them many times. I've been political my entire life because they were. And so
Mm.
I would sit and just listen to them talk, but it was with respect.
Yeah,
And so, but one granddad would say, Mr. Shears, why are you a Democrat? And then my Republican granddad would say, well, Mr. Bearden, let me tell you why. I mean, so they would just, they would talk with respect
sure. Yeah.
for each other. There's not any of that anymore.
No, there's not. In fact, Tucker Carlson and Fox News recently just split ways, and I was watching the old Daily Show host Jon Stewart and Tucker Carlson go at it in 2004. It was kind of a famous moment. It's like 20 years ago now, which is sort of shocking. But at that time, what Jon Stewart was complaining about was the crossfire format where people went at it and fought. And that was a new thing back then, new enough that people would still complain, like, why are people fighting on? Well, that became sort of industry standard. You sort of expected people to fight, and now you get almost less of that. That was the old Hannity and Colmes thing too, but now you get less of that, and you basically get networks against networks, and you've got networks fighting against networks now. And it would be a bad business decision for a lot of these 24-hour news networks to not be combative in some way. And I don't know whether that has influenced the way we talk to each other, our discourse, our civility, or whether our politics have truly gotten more extreme and the stakes have just gotten higher. And I suspect it's a little bit of all of the above. But that whole Tip O'Neill, Ronald Reagan sort of chummy cross bipartisan friendship
Mhm.
is something of a past era.
Yeah, I think so too. You can even see Bill Clinton when he was in office. All he
Well,
wanted to do was play with the women, but
if you look
but
at
that's where his
if
mind was. But even him, I mean, he would. There were times he would reach across the aisle. I
well,
mean,
there
it
are
was
things that
like,
happened in Clinton's presidency that would have been unheard of today. I mean, he would have been a conservative Republican if you looked at his policies. I mean, the 1996 welfare reform. I mean, no Democrat would ever touch that today. He was, trying to reduce immigration and impose immigration restrictions. No Democrat would do that today. It was just we're in a totally different moment now. Clinton has changed his views, and he's become more. He sort of drifts with the Democratic Party and with the left as the Democratic Party goes left.
he goes
Um,
whichever the way the wind blows.
and that's the thing with you'll find that we're joking about it, but there's actually something to that. When leftism is guided by a philosophy of change, there is no end state toward which it's working. If the ideal is change, that means just constant transformation towards no end. There's no teleology to it. Whereas the right typically is guided by certain principles of morality that have existed for thousands of years. And whereas there may not be a perfect end state toward which we're at least working towards those sort of fixed principles. But if change is your marker of your philosophical guide, there's no end. You just go in any direction, and that's why I see the left changing so much. I like to ask my friends on the left, at what point would society get to the state in which you would be a conservative? In other words, when would you be satisfied and say, oh, here it is. We got it pretty much right. We should start preserving institutions rather than transforming them. And their answer is never.
Never.
There will never be
Okay, I want
satisfaction.
to talk about, we need to go into a commercial break. We're already halfway through this show. So we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there. If we come back, I want to ask you about Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton. Do you think they're going to throw their name in the hat? We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest MyPillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere MyPillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have MyPillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing MyPillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, bolster pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring. But the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, we are back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment and excitement. We got lots of great things to talk about. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Check out the podcast right there, netsnewsnetwork.net. We're so excited to be part of all of these programs, so it's really exciting. Alan Mendenhall is with us, and Alan is no stranger to this show, so we're glad to have him back. And so we've been talking a little bit about politics. We haven't talked about Trump yet, but I want to ask you real quick, and this is about who else could be throwing their name in the hat on the Democrat side. And a little chatter out there, just a little bit about Hillary Clinton possibly and Michelle Obama. Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, Hillary Clinton, John Kerry, Joe Biden. Joe Biden's in his 80s, but, Al Gore, Kerry, Clinton, they're all in their 70s. I see them having the same liabilities that Joe Biden has in terms of age. I think of those, Gore and Kerry are probably the most healthy, or the healthiest, I should say. But I think Hillary's track record of losing against Trump and the way she handled defeat disqualifies her, because for one reason, she claimed election fraud and everything that Trump claimed after his defeat, that the Democrats have spent the last 4 years painting as conspiracy theorists, and they've, as if Hillary Clinton hadn't raised those exact claims, and Russian collusion and all this kind of stuff that was very obviously conspiracy theory. I think for them to continue to paint people like Tucker Carlson or whoever as conspiracy theorists, they have to ignore Hillary Clinton's own election denialism, I guess is the favored word for the left right now. So I sort of think at this point Biden's the guy, and that's painful for the Democrats, because with Kamala Harris and Biden, you've got two pretty unpopular people, but the left is so committed to the Democratic Party and not necessarily to principles or people that they will vote for whoever that person is on that ticket.
Well, I think we all know they're puppets anyway. They're puppets. And it's just pretty obvious. Somebody else is pulling the strings there. So let's talk about Trump. And, of course, he has made his announcement. And, of course, Haley has made her announcement, and kind of things are happening out there now. What kind of a chance do you feel Trump has? Because, they've been trying to destroy him for years. And he's almost like he has Teflon on him. He just keeps, coming back. Here I am, and there's always a smoking gun, but I never hear the gun go off.
Yeah, I think he's got a strong shot against Biden. If that's the competition and it's a Trump Biden rematch, I think Trump's got a strong shot. I think, it would be sort of like what we just had in the last election, where you're going to have a very close election with the swing states being in play. I also think that because of all the controversies around the election, that you will see much more transparency and much more oversight over the election process just by necessity. Now, we always know that there are some shenanigans that go on in elections, whether they are as widespread or large to swing an entire election is as a matter of debate. But we always know that there are some things that go on. So to the extent that those can be reduced, great. I find it so interesting, Donna. I just went to Canada and to Mexico, and when I was in the Canadian border to get through, I showed my passport to the first person, which is just kind of a person who he stands in line and says, "Why are you coming to Canada? What are you here for?" "I'm here to speak." This all. But then I go to the next line, and it was where the person in the window sits, and in the past they would stamp your passport. But what happened then is I walked up, looked in a camera, and went brrr, did a facial recognition scan on her computer screen. It popped up Alan Mendenhall, all this information about me. She looked down at my passport, looked at the screen, saw they matched, and let me through it. I'm thinking, interesting. For
Wow.
me to get into Canada, it requires this artificial intelligence sort of machine recognition of my identity. But we're not going to do that for voting. No, we're not going to do that for voting. We
Mhm,
that's dangerous. So I
mhm.
just find it very interesting that we have the technology
We got
to
it.
to make our voting more safe and secure, and we won't do it.
Well, like with your banking account, I don't know how many times it throws an error message up there. You got to change your password. Then I have to let them send me something on my cell phone. Then I also have to let them send me something on my email address. It's just like ongoing, ongoing. And every time I have to do this, it's a hassle. I mean, you have to be glad they are doing this, but why can't it be a little bit more of a hassle for people who are coming through the border as well? I mean, that's why, and then also all of the elitists. Nancy Pelosi, we'll just use her. She pretty much has a fortress around her. I mean, where
Mhm.
she lives, her home. But
Yeah,
then the boyfriend, whoever this guy was who came through, and he was able to get through. But anyway,
yeah.
you can call that whatever you want to call it. But I just think it was a little thing that went awry. But getting back to Trump again, who do you think is going to be his running mate?
Oh gosh. Well, I really like Vivek Ramaswamy. He is the founder of Strive Asset Management, among other things, and I like his positive message for America and his opposition to ESG and his awareness of the issues. He's very sharp. He's very bright. He's very young. He's very energetic. I don't know that he's actually running right now for president. I don't know that he's going to have a wide enough base. I think, he's a Hindu, and, there's some question about whether Americans would vote for a non-Christian, which is basically what we have in the office right
I
now.
was going to say, what's the
He's
difference?
he's nominally Catholic, but
Uh-huh.
it's very
Not a
difficult to take
practicing
that.
one.
Yeah, it's difficult to take that commitment very seriously, given that his policies are antithetical to church teaching.
Yeah.
I think Ramaswamy is a viable option, and I wouldn't be surprised. And I almost wonder if he's sort of running for that vice presidential spot, and he would clearly be far and away the youngest and most energetic person on either ticket.
Mhm.
I don't know how Biden and Kamala Harris would be able to withstand his intelligence. I mean, in a debate, he would
I
wipe the
kind of
floor.
hope Trump chooses a woman. And the reason I'm saying that, not for the wealth of women and all that kind of stuff, I'm just saying a woman would be the best person to go against Harris in a debate. Because
Yeah,
I'm just telling you, if I were debating with her, I would just turn around and say, look, we're both women. Stop cackling. Okay. Can we be serious women here? And because you would be laughing about everything you said. She cackles. It would be annoying. But
Yeah,
another woman would be able to get by with that other than a Pence or somebody like that,
right, right, and it raises the question whether Nikki Haley has a strained relationship with Trump now that she is not part of his administration, now that she's running against him. That sort of Trump is very keen on loyalty. That's very important to him. So
You have
somebody
to
that
be in
worked
business,
for
Mark, and this is
yeah,
no different.
and somebody who worked for him and was part of an administration and now is running against him, he might perceive as disloyalty, but I'm not sure. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
There's
And
no
then
doubt.
when you consider the crowds, Trump is still getting, he could come to Geraldine, Alabama. I promise you, 100,000 people would show up. I don't know where we would put them, but 100,000 people would show up to DeKalb County, Alabama. I
They
just
would.
believe.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And, I don't know whether the Democrats, in seeking to prosecute Trump, were trying to neutralize him as a candidate or whether they were trying to make him a candidate by, you know, irritating his base. And they thought that maybe Trump is an easier candidate to run against than DeSantis. So we need to see if Trump, I don't really know. But it certainly, I think, helped Trump rather than hurt him.
I think so too, because I know people they weren't necessarily never Trumpers. It's just that they just, anybody else running. And now they're saying, you know what? I'm like part of the Trumpsters now. A
Well,
lot
especially
of
when
people.
you've got what's going on with Joe Biden's family and Hunter Biden and all the potential scandals with extended family that's going on, it just
Uh,
stinks of corruption and it's it's hypocritical. And
to say the least.
and I mean, if Trump were to get up there and say, "Elect me, and we will prosecute Joe Biden," that's where things are headed because of this. It's tit for tat these days.
They opened up Pandora's box.
That's
It's
what's
going to
happening.
come back and bite them big time. I mean, it really is. So let me ask you, we have less than 2 minutes left, but I got to ask this question. This is about Hunter Biden. Okay, so they really can't grab a sitting president, but they could get Hunter. Am I correct on this? Okay,
Mhm.
so let's just say he goes to prison, whatever, during this time. What would that do? Could they get Joe once he's out of office?
Potentially, but if I were Joe Biden, I would. There's this talk about is the Biden administration and Merrick Garland, are they um, doing something to impede this investigation? But if I were Biden, I would want to accelerate it so that if my son were convicted, I could still pardon him before, but before I got out of office. Because if there are prosecutors dragging their feet and he gets convicted after Biden leaves office, then there's no protection for him.
Right.
And I mean, the case for Hunter Biden, he just, it does not look good for him. And the fact that he hasn't been prosecuted yet does seem suspicious,
Mhm.
to
Oh
say the
yeah.
least.
To say the least, absolutely. Okay, really quick, less than a minute. How can folks find your writings?
Well, the easiest way is probably just to go to www.alanmendenhall.com. That's ALLENMENDENHALL. And my writings, some talks, and other materials, books are all available there.
Absolutely. Alan, thank you again so much for being on the show today.
Thank you, Donna. I always enjoy coming on.
Me too. We're going to do this like very regular, okay?
We should, yes.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for watching. I'm Donna. I am your host of The Edge on IC Radio, your source for news and entertainment. You can find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications and Abundant Television syndicated on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, netnewsnetwork.net. Again, thank you, Alan. Many thanks for being on the show today.